What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Redhead MMA. And in today's video, I'll be giving a quick recap, not actually quick, but I'll give you a recap of the UFC Vancouver card. And let me just say, this is the fight night of the year. A banger after banger on this card. So entertaining. There are some hiccups here and there with some interesting stoppages and interesting non-stoppages, which I'll elaborate more on later. But it was also a bit of a disaster for me picks wise. I think I went 5-8 on this card. As I go through each fight, I'll say which ones I uh, picked correctly and did not pick correctly. You'll see that they were kind of few and far between that I got right. But either way, let's get through it, starting with Melissa Crota versus Tainara Lisboa. I got this fight wrong. Um, who does that to Tainara Lisboa? In all seriousness, though, Melissa Crota, great debut. I was not expecting much out of her. Um, Overall, just like she lost the first round. Tainara Lisboa was um working her in the grappling in the first round to get a 10-9, and I was like, "Yep, we got this one. It's over for her." But Croden in round 2 and 3 was just dominating her in the strike and got 2 takedowns of her own, just completely destroying her and outstriking her. And Lisboa in the second and third rounds was trying for submissions off of her back, and they just wouldn't work. They were like kind of like arm bars. Croden actually tried the same thing in the third round, I think, with an inverted triangle that just was nowhere near actually working when she should have kind of realized earlier, but she was already winning the fight, so it didn't really matter. But nothing much else to say. Great debut for Melissa Croden. Wasn't expecting much out of her coming from the LFA, already having a loss in the LFA, come from the regional scene. Like, I really just wasn't expecting much, and she definitely delivered. Entertaining fight, entertaining fighter in Melissa Croden. Excited to see what she does in women's bantamweight, which is a pretty much dead division. So, yeah. Um, Then, as besides Kayla Harrison, actually, I take that back. Um, Next fight, I also got this one wrong. Azamat Bakoev versus. Damn it, sorry about that. Azamat Bakoev versus Yusri Belgri. Sorry, the UFC website is not working for me right now. Belgri destroyed Azamat Bakoev. I was not expecting that. Obviously, Bakoev, he landed more takedowns. He obviously had more control time, but none of his control actually worked on Belgri. Belgri was just able to get up after all of his takedowns. And Belgri was also able to dominantly outstrike Bakoev for an easy win and a TKO in the third round, standing with punches TKO in the third round. Um, Belgri is great at striking when he's aggressive, and he's great on the back foot. And when you got both of those, plus his reach and height, it's going to be really tough to beat this guy on the feet in middleweight. And he's got great takedown defense. He's kind of the complete package here. Really excited to see what he does. Um, yeah, that's really it. Just great fight from Belgri. I'm pissed that I did not get the pick correct. Moving up the card, finally a fight that I picked correctly on: Stephanie Luciano versus Ravena Oliveira. Uh, Stephanie Luciano was able to dominate pretty much the entire fight, besides the first round. Now, she won the first round, but it was relatively close compared to the second and third rounds, which were very obviously dominant for Stephanie Luciano. Um, Oliveira just really wasn't able to strike with her in the second and third rounds. Luciano was kind of in a flow state, and the second round was actually able to end with Stephanie Luciano getting a takedown and getting some good ground and pound in before going into the third round and submitting Ravina Oliveira with a rear naked choke. But even before that, in the third round, she was already dominating with great striking, great grappling, great control time. Nothing much else to say. Luciano was really dominant in this fight, besides the relatively close first round. And it was the first fight of the card that I got a pick right, so I was very happy about that. Moving up the card, another pick that I got wrong. Danny Barlow versus Jordan Santos. I don't think a single person got this right because who picked Jordan Santos? But from now on, I think I'll have to because Jordan Santos is an absolute dog. This was such a good fight. Great scrap. The first round I actually gave to Danny Barlow. Uh, Actually, no, I didn't. I gave the second one to Danny Barlow. Sorry. First round, pretty close. Both guys were scrapping. I think Barlow was actually getting busier. I think he might have landed more, very slightly, but Santos was landing the bigger strikes and just looked more dominant. He was controlling the octagon. So I gave Santos the first round. The second round, I actually gave to Barlow. Initially, I was giving it to Santos because of um, his dominance towards the end of the round. But when I thought about who was winning the vast majority of the round, I ended up giving it to Danny Barlow. This really started like the pure scrap that was the last two rounds. Um, these guys, like I even wrote in my notes for round two, these guys are dogs. And then in round three, Santos pretty much dominated the entire round. It was still a scrap, but Santos was just landing a lot more. And Santos's ground game is really good. Something else that I learned in the third round. But great fight, potential fight of the night for me. Um, yeah, that's really just it. Great fight. Let me actually just check the battery on my laptop before I keep going. 19%. We can do this. Um, Moving up the card, another pick that I got wrong. Bruno Silva versus Hyun Sung. Bruno Silva did dominate. I think I overestimated Hyun Sung Park and forgot that just because the last guy he fought was high ranked doesn't mean the competition that he fought before was very good. Uh, Santos was just better on the feet, was able to stuff Park's takedowns. And when Park was able to like land a takedown, Silva could get up pretty easily. The second round was also dominant. Park was just never able to keep up with Silva's pace in this round or the next one in terms of striking and grappling. And in round three, Silva won with a standing rear naked choke. He was kind of like bent down, and Park was still on the floor, kind of like sitting down. Park was winning the beginning of round three, though, but he started slowing down. Silva got back into his groove, and Park could not handle the blitz from Silva that ended with the standing rear naked choke. Uh, yeah, great performance from Bruno Silva. Still think he's on PEDs, but that doesn't change the fact that Park did not look good tonight. Moving up the card, finally another pick that I got right. Uh, Cody Gibson versus Ariel Galing. I think that's how you say it. As Lucas Tracy was saying it. Um, Cody Gibson, brother, it's time for you to go back to history teaching. Uh, he got knocked out 21 seconds into the fight. Lucas Tracy was saying he hit the corpse guard. I mean, Ariel Kling just literally right across the chin, perfectly placed shot. There's so little to say about this fight because it lasted 21 seconds. Um, but either way, I mean, great fight is unfortunately for you done. Um, yeah, nothing much to say about this one. Another fight that I got correctly, that I chose correctly, Drew Dober versus Kyle Prepolik. I'm not exactly sure how you say it. I'm gonna say Prepolik. Um, this was a great performance by Drew Dober, but Prepolek was looking good. I vastly underestimated him in my predictions video. In the first round, Dober was looking good with his low kicks and jabs. But Prepolek started to look pretty good towards the end of the round, and that momentum continued into round two. It was a good scrap, but Prepolek was getting the better of each exchange, really. The third round began with a huge nut shot from Drew Dober to Prepolek. And, like, in that replay, dude, I could feel it myself. I can't even imagine how much pain he was in. And he only took 3.5 minutes for his break. Another fighter kind of abused his break a little bit. Talk about that in a second as well. Um, and they actually took a point away from Drew Dober for a singular one unintentional nut shot. Another talking point they'll have to get to later in the same fight that I referenced a second ago. Um, but uh, a point taken away from Drew Dober. I think he realized right there, like, okay, if I don't get a finish, I'm gonna lose. So he immediately just put his foot on the gas and just chased down Prepolek to secure a TKO finish. Just barely a minute and 15 seconds, minute and 16 seconds actually into the third round. Great performance by Drew Dober. Um, but Prepolek, he actually kind of getting slept on a little bit. I was sleeping on him. Uh, Drew Dober, and I really think if the nut shot didn't happen, Prepolek might have been able to win the fight. And it sounds so weird, but the point taken away fully motivated Drew Dober to win the fight. So great performance by Drew Dober. Feel kind of bad for Kyle Prepolek because if it didn't happen, he probably actually would have won based on how the second round went and uh, just that momentum continuing. So I kind of feel bad for him, but great performance from Drew Dober. And my pick was correct. So it is all good. Moving up the card, I actually was waiting to talk about this fight. Kyle Nelson got robbed of a TKO. Uh, Am I still recording? All right, sweet. I was getting very worried for a second because my screen just shut off for a quick second, and all right, I kind of need to rush through the rest of this video. Um, but I'm gonna try to cover everything pretty equally. Kyle Nelson was robbed of a TKO. Um, he TKO'd Matt Frevola with 1 second left in the first round, and Dan Mergliata, like, this guy clearly stopped the fight before the bell went off, and he still told the judge. I believe he went to the judges and said it was the end of the round. Like, Kyle Nelson was celebrating. He clearly won that fight by TKO, and Dan Mergliata robbed him of it. He should not be allowed to ref another fight in the UFC ever again. That was insane. But he ended up winning. But Matt Frevola kind of still had his head in the game after that TKO. Like, he was like just head bouncing off the canvas. He was still kind of doing well. So pretty impressive overall from Matt Frevola that he was able to survive the next 2 rounds. But I feel really bad for Kyle Nelson. Dan Mergliata, you gotta go. You are officially my least favorite ref in the UFC after this one. At least favorite current ref. Uh, that was outrageous. I hate Dan Mergliata. I'm sure he's a nice guy in real life, but that was just a one of the most horrendous things I've ever seen. Next fight, Charles Jourdain versus Davy Grant. My little streak of fights that I was getting correct ended right here. Uh, Davy Grant did not look good. I mean, it was fine. He was looking okay, but his his iron chin got violated by a knee, absolutely devious knee that led into a insanely tight guillotine, just such a clean looking guillotine to end the fight. A great win for Charles Jourdain. He went down a weight class, and I got to say, this new bantamweight Charles Jourdain looks pretty good. I thought that him going down a weight class would affect him negatively, and it clearly didn't. Sucks for Davy Grant though. Sucks to see him like that. Also, I apologize that I'm just like scrolling like this a lot. My laptop is at insanely low battery, and I'm not near my charger right now. So I kind of just to make sure the screen doesn't go off, my recording stops. I am just scrolling like this a little bit. Moving up the card, I predicted this correctly. Manon Fiorot versus Jasmine Jasuda Vicious. Um, I actually wasn't watching uh this fight. I had to go out and drive 10 minutes to grab something. I was assuming that when I got back, the fight would still be on because I thought it was going to be a decision. But Manon Fiorot, I guess, has crazy power in her hands now and was able to secure a TKO in a minute and 14 seconds. Great win for Manon Fiorot. But I don't have much to say because this was the only fight that I was just straight up did not watch on this card. But either way, I predicted Fiorot to win. She won. Good for me. Uh, Marlon Vera versus Eamon Zahabi. Slight robbery. Here, slight robbery. I'm not gonna say robbery. I feel like that word is getting thrown around too much in MMA nowadays. But so it's like it could potentially be applied here, but I really don't think so. I personally thought Marlon Vera won the fight. I thought that he won rounds 1 and 2, and that Eamon Zahabi won round 3. Two of the judges did not think so. Two of them thought that Eamon Zahabi won round 1 as well. I'm not really mad at them for that. Marlon Vera just isn't the same fighter that he used to be. I feel like a couple of years ago he would have won a lot more dominantly. Like, there's a couple things where it's just like a couple times where he could have been way more aggressive and he just decided not to be. Um, so you could definitely see that Marlon Vera is his age is starting to show heavily. With sorry, his age is starting to show with this fight. It's not a great win for Eamon Zahabi. I really did not think he won that fight. But it's like at the same time, it's not the worst thing that he won that fight. Like there are very much arguments that he could have won. So it's not the worst thing ever, but I feel like he should probably do a little bit better against older competition like Marlon Vera. If he wants to be the top of the heap in bantamweight, he's got to do a little bit better. Moving up the card, oh dude, Kevin Holland. All respect lost for Kevin Holland, bro. And actually, I'm not gonna say all respect lost because at the end of the day, no one knows except him how bad that second nut shot hurt. Um, in the was it the first or second round? I think it was the first round. Sorry, let me actually check. Oh, I no longer have notes after the Jourdain versus Grant fight, so I'm just going off memory right here. Uh, Kevin Holland was hit with a nut shot about halfway through the first round by Mike Malott, and he took like a minute. Maybe he might have even just taken like 30 seconds. He kind of like brushed it off. He's like, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm ready." And that one was like a full-on real nut shot. Goes back in, and Mike Malott up against the cage in a clinch hits him with a knee that to me looked like it hit the hip. He said it hit the hip. He was showing that to the audience. He's like pointing at where he hit. It looked to me like it hit the hip, but it also probably hit the cup a little bit, and it might have clamped down on his balls, which definitely could hurt horribly. Um, but he just dragged it out so badly because it really did look like it was not a nut shot. So I'm gonna go off of that uh, assumption that I have about it. It's my interpretation of it. It's what it looked like to me. Um, he took over 5 minutes in a timeout. It took like 5 minutes and 3 seconds or something like that. But he was like, oh, like I'm not showing my face, so I can't, I can't show like what it was like. But he was just like, he just couldn't get up, and I fully believe that Kevin Holland was trying to get a point taken away from Mike Malott. It's what he was aiming for, and he didn't get it. I disagree with that take again. Dan Mergliotta, worst ref in the UFC. Um, I I think, and I truly think it was because Mike Malott's Canadian, that they didn't take the point away from him. Like Kevin Holland, like it's clear that he was in some form of pain. I feel like he was in some form of pain, but he overdid it to get the point, and he didn't get it. And then he's like, oh, I guess I got to commit to it now. Um, but I think they probably should have taken the point from Mike Malott. Like just because they had the stoppage right there, they had the timeout. Like the ref thought it was a nut shot. Um, and they should have taken the point from Mike Malott. But the last like 40 seconds of that round that was left, um, like Kevin Holland was like, "Yo, like don't hit me," like, and then was like pointing at his balls, and it was like, "Dude, like you chose to keep fighting." And even like in the last 10 seconds, Kevin Holland went a full on stop and I put his hand. It was like, "Yo, like don't hit me." And Mike Malott was like looking at Dan Mergliotta, like, "What do you expect me to do here? Like, what is this?" So then in between rounds, uh, the doctor comes in and Kevin Holland's doing his classic thing of just not even looking at the doctor, not even responding to him, acting like he's not there. And they're just like, "All right, like, are you gonna fight this or not?" All right. I gotta get through this. We're at the co-main event. It's fun. Um, but so eventually Kenon keeps going, and he ends up losing the fight. Um, and now Kevin Holland's got a great excuse for why he didn't win the fight. He's like, I would have won that fight so easily if it was for that nut shot. And he's gonna go off about that. And he's also 100%, if he's smart, go off at the point not being taken away. It definitely should have been, but it wouldn't have changed the outcome of the fight, in my opinion. Mike Malott won relatively dominantly. Now, the main event: Rainier DeRitter versus Brendan Allen. Uh, just how good is Marvin Vettori, guys? He almost beat Brendan Allen. And then Brendan Allen goes on and destroys Rainier DeRitter. First round, Rainier DeRitter looked amazing. I was like, oh, it's over, boys. Pack it in, Brendan Allen. Back to the apex with you. But then Brendan Allen just turned up with the grappling in the next 3 rounds and just kind of pieced up Rainier DeRitter on the feet. But most of the fight was spent on the ground, where Allen was able to get so much, like, way more control time overall than RDR. And, like, it was just so, like, I was just so unexpected. Like, I'm speechless even thinking about it, that Brendan Allen is now the number 4 contender in the UFC middleweight division and is in title contention. The middleweight division is dead. Like, there's no other way you can slice it. Um, so yeah, Brendan Allen is now at the top, the best of the best in lightweight. He's in the top 5. Um, I think Dricus is a good fight for Brendan Allen. Oh, actually, let me talk the stoppage. So Rainier DeRitter looked so tired after the second, third, and fourth rounds. He was laying down after the fourth round ended. His coach had to like pick him up and bring him back to the stool practically, and his team decided for him to throw in the towel in between the fourth and fifth round to end the fight. It was such a weird way to end it. Um, and just unexpected. Like, this guy has been tearing up middleweight. Rainier Ritter has been destroying middleweight, and this is how it ends. Like, for him, well, not how it ends, but like this is how this fight that should have been a layup ends for him. And just thinking about what Fluffy Hernandez would have done to him is insane. Fluffy Hernandez is the guy to beat Chimaev, not RDR. But yeah, that was the card. Definitely like and subscribe. Comment what you thought of the card. Um, might make a video on uh who the major people on this card should fight next. Um, but if I don't, I have other videos planned this week for um just like topics in the UFC. I don't want this to be like my only content. I do want to make content about just like the state of divisions, ranking, weight classes, fighters, stuff like that. I want to do more like general content and not just predictions, but it's been a pretty packed couple weeks for the UFC, so that's kind of what I've been making content on, but I want to make more varied stuff. Try out some new editing styles. But yeah, that's about it. Make sure to like, subscribe, and thank you for watching.